Hey everybody, I'm Curtis.
And I'm Hannah.
And this is Love at First Fright. Okay, so this week I have prepared for you a surprise.
Yes.
I've already prepared it.
Yes.
I've made it because I didn't want to try to do it like in the setup here. It's electronics and I'm bound to spill it, so whatever.
Liquids.
I've made a drink.
Yes.
For us for this one. It's not themed to the thing. I have it as well. You'll notice it is not being served in a wine glass despite being 50% wine.
Yeah. You'll also notice it's kind of room temp.
Well, I don't think you generally chill red wine.
I don't know. I don't know about wine.
I think you chill white wines. You don't chill red wines.
Do you want to tell the people at home?
Yeah, so what I have prepared is, and maybe some of the chronically online, such as myself, among the listeners, will recognize this upon the name. And maybe the hint of it being 50% red wine has already clued you in as to what I have prepared today. I'm giving you time if you want to go prepare your own and drink along with the episode. Only if you're of age. I'm watching you.
Yep.
What I have prepared is something that people are talking about online as Gator wine.
Gator wine.
Yes. We went to the store. We were like wandering around Walmart. We're trying to pick up some like craft stuff for like a thing that we're doing later, and we couldn't find anything, and then we were getting ready to go, and I was like, well, then that means there's only one more thing that we need to purchase. And I was like, I need a bottle of Gatorade and any bottle of wine that is $12 or less. And you were like, why? And I said, I'm not going to tell you. It's a surprise for later.
Yep.
So I think some background here. I don't particularly care for red wines. We've tried doing some red wines.
I like when red wine tastes like juice.
Yeah, it needs to be juice. So we like sangria.
Yeah.
Basically. But anyway, this is I don't have the bottle with me, but it's Barefoot.
Yeah, it's the Barefoot Sweet Red Blend, I think was what it was called.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a red wine.
It was like $10 or $11.
And specifically, if you're going to make this with us, if you have this on hand, if you don't, pause the episode, go run out to the store, come back.
Yeah, this is important.
You're going to want to get the light blue Gatorade. It's called Glacier. It's important that it is the light blue one. I'm not making this up. I've watched videos of people doing it, and they were like, oh, well, let's try it with other ones. And it doesn't work the same.
Shouldn't it be the grape?
No. Wrong. See? You're going to make a horrible drink
if
you do it that way. But you do the light blue Gatorade and it is equal parts. So however much wine you put in.
1 to 1.
Much, yeah, it's a 1 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to make the wine better.
Okay.
Like it upgrades it somehow.
I see.
And the bonus to this, like the secret extra bonus is it extends the life of the bottle of wine.
It also hydrates you.
Yeah. You can get messed up on this if it's good. So anyway, we're about to take our first sips of this. Here we go.
Hey, it tastes like juice.
Tell me that's not delicious.
It actually is pretty good.
It's good, right?
It kind of just tastes like Gatorade.
And we explicitly bought a cheap bottle of wine that I was like, I don't know that I'm gonna care for it. Like I've never had this wine before. I've not done like a side-by-side comparison of just the wine by itself. This just tastes like juice.
Yep. I'm gonna chug this.
So I thought it would be fun to make these for us.
Yeah.
And talk about the movie that we're going to talk about and get kind of messed up on this because I watched a video of somebody and they were like rating a bunch of people's like online like guilty pleasure stuff, and this was one of the things. And when they started it, they were like, this is like a 5. And as the video went on,
it's getting higher.
They kept going back and rating it higher till it was like a 9. It's one of those things. Once you start drinking it, like you're gonna sip it and you're gonna be like, I don't know, it's not like the greatest wine I've ever had, and that's fine. It's not supposed to be.
No, it's supposed to make
it makes cheap
wine tolerable,
way more tolerable.
Yeah.
So I think this is like legitimately a great like food hack.
Yeah. It's great for us because we often go to Costco, we get enticed by the pretty bottles of wine, we crack that open, we both take a sip, and we're like, this is gross.
Yeah.
And so then it just sort of sits there in our fridge.
It's we'll also spend like 20-30 minutes in the Costco because I'm ranting about the tasting notes that they put on there being like hint of forest floor.
You have not. It has been months since we encountered the hint of forest floor on whichever wine that was at Costco, and you bring it up like once a week.
Because it's gross. Who wants dirt in their grape?
It's earthy, probably.
Then say that.
No, they have to paint a picture. They have to paint a word.
We got some dirt in this one.
They have to
$20, please.
They have to paint a word picture
it
for you.
It got a 91 in our wine score.
As if they just say earthy, that could be anything. No, theirs is hint of forest floor.
I wouldn't drink it even if it said earthy, because to me, that is also code for...
We got some dirt in it.
Oops.
Oops, all dirt.
Oops, all dirt in this one. This batch was 50% dirt. $40, please.
Why is it going up in price?
That's what they do.
Oh. Yeah. So as you can tell, we are very accomplished and knowledgeable wine people.
Yeah.
I
should have brought the wine and Gatorade in here.
Yeah, you should have, because we're going to chug this. Maybe we'll take a little break.
I can run out and grab it. I'll get it.
So that's going to be what we're doing in the background. If
by the end of this one's fucked up, you know why.
That's why. It's because when you mix Gatorade with cheap red wine, you get Gator wine.
You lose the plot.
Yeah. All right, well, that is a thing that we've done.
Yeah. You said you were scared because I wasn't telling you what I was going to do.
Yeah, because it makes me kind of anxious when you're like, ooh, I got a surprise for you. Yeah. And then I'm like, what is it? Yeah. And you're like, you just gotta wait.
Yeah, but it's organic that way. Also,
it would be more organic if you didn't tell me far in advance, I have a surprise for you. If you just surprised me.
No.
Because I'm anxious, and even though we're in a very stable, loving relationship, there's still a good portion of me that's like, the surprise is that he's going to cut my insides open.
Right. But see, that's when I'm not going to tell you that I have a surprise for you. And also, as far as telling you I have a surprise for you, and then being with you and buying Gatorade and wine, and the name of this thing being Gator wine, terrible surprise.
I mean, I was gonna say, like, you were like, yeah, it's a surprise, but you specifically told me the 2 ingredients that you need to make. It's
not like there was anything else to it.
I didn't know, like, this wasn't on my TikTok or whatever, but I was pretty sure, I was like, I guess he's gonna mix Gatorade and wine together, and that's gonna either taste good or bad. Yeah. Depending on why he's surprising me with this.
And it's good. I don't think I would have done it if I thought it was going to taste bad, but I had seen so many people trying this and being like, it's legitimately so good, just don't use other flavors of Gatorade.
Yeah.
Because there's something about the light blue one that, like, brings out more of, I guess, like, the fruity notes of the red wine.
Fucking sommelier over here.
I'm telling you, it's going to make me a wine guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now instead of hint of forest floor, it's hint of Arctic blast.
Yeah, hint of glacier freeze. Gatorade frost. It's got electrolytes in it. This wine's got electrolytes. That'll be $60, please.
The electrolytes come from the forest floor.
They might. I don't know where electrolytes come from. I'm not a scientist.
Me either.
Salt,
I'm not even totally sure I know what they are.
I think it's salt.
That sounds right.
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. Me either. Clearly.
Anyway, let's get into this one. We watched Eight-Legged Freaks.
Eight-Legged Freaks.
You may or may not have watched this at some point in your life. It's an older movie.
Came out in 2002.
Yeah, 2002. And you may not have watched it when we said we were going to watch it because it is entirely about spiders.
It's just all spiders.
And if you have arachnophobia, don't blame you.
Yeah.
So
spiders all the way down.
Yeah, it's Oops, All Spiders, which they probably got from the forest floor.
Yeah.
Those spiders
they got from the weird little creek.
No. He hates exotic spiders. He didn't just get those he got the crickets from the creek. Don't mislead the listeners.
Okay, it's my bad.
Yeah. This movie it's weird.
It's funny. And it's got David Arquette in it.
I don't know if this is a title that's already been thrown around, particularly for David Arquette. Would it be outrageous to say he is a Scream King? Is that a thing?
I don't think that would be outrageous. And if anyone's earned it, it's him.
Like, he's one of the faces of, like, horror movies.
Oh, yeah.
What's the other guy? Patrick Wilson?
Yeah.
That his,
mm-hmm.
that does the Conjuring stuff?
Yeah.
It's like, I think of those guys when I think of horror.
That's fair.
Horror dudes.
That's
you know
fair.
what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah. So, I love David Arquette.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah, I really hope he's never done anything wrong, because there's an alternate timeline for me where I only had eyes for David Arquette.
Yeah. You mean this timeline? It's not alternate.
Maybe it was reciprocated in the alternate timeline.
Yeah, that's what the alternate timeline is. Yeah. You guys had posters of each other.
Yes.
In your room. No, I think this movie is just fun. Like, obviously we talk about like the rating and stuff when we get into it. It's just not really scary.
No, unless you're afraid of spiders.
which is why like I rated it how I did. Mm-hmm. Personally, not very scary to me, but I can see the universe where this is one of the more terrifying movies you've ever seen.
Right.
And I do want to take a little side tangent, because just before we watched this movie, we were just looking for like horror movies to watch in general, and then I was like, oh, we should just watch Eight Legged Freaks because we need to watch it for this show anyway. And we pulled it up on Amazon, and you had a credit to watch it for free, which was cool. Mm-hmm. But just before we did it, there was the like suggested movies in the bottom. Yeah. And there was one called Lavalantula. And it's
exactly what you think.
Yeah, whatever you're thinking, that's it. We watched a little trailer for it, and in the trailer it was like from Sci-Fi, the network that brought you Sharknado, and I was like, I didn't need you to tell me that.
You didn't even need to specify.
Literally, the CGI in the trailer looks exactly like every Sci-Fi original movie's CGI for like big thing that shouldn't be big attacking people.
I think my favorite thing about Lavalantula is that there's some kind of deep lore where it's connected to the Police Academy films, but I don't really know how.
Well, I guess it has the cast of Police Academy in it,
but I think they're like take place in the same universe.
They might, I don't know. It's weird. And then there was definitely a reference in the trailer to Sharknado, I believe, because like the last thing that they show is like the main dude. He's like a washed up 90s action star or something. I don't know. We didn't watch it.
He's from Police Academy.
Yeah, he's from Police Academy. What else do you need? He's like interacting with another dude who I think is like the lead like action hero dude from Sharknado. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the conversation was leading up to this, but the dude from Sharknado is like, I'd love to help, but I'm dealing with a shark problem right now. And then he like walks off, and I was like, so these are happening at the same time?
Police Academy, Sharknado, and Lavalantula are all in the same universe.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe could never.
Maybe we should watch it. Maybe we need to get deep into the lore of what's happening there.
I'll do it. I mean, shitty sci-fi movies are part of my love of horror movies. Like they're awful. You know they're going to be bad going into it.
You do know they're going to be
bad. But they also, the people making it know it's bad.
I think that's an important distinguishing factor, is that oftentimes those movies, it's very tongue-in-cheek. Yeah. They know that it's silly, and they're leaning into the silliness. And so you don't get that like annoying, exhausted feeling from watching a bad movie because they're being like super earnest, you know, and you're like, this is so bad.
But anyway, so maybe we'll do that one at another point. We'll do like a spider movie watch-a-thon or something.
Let us know if we should watch all of these and explain to you how the lore is connected.
Yeah.
Because we will.
Yeah, we'll do it.
We'll fall on that sword.
I got nothing but free time.
Oh goodness.
Anyway, so back to this one. So we watched Eight Legged Freaks. Got David Arquette in it.
So it's a 2002 horror film. Actually, kind of depending on where you're looking, they sort of classify it differently in terms of the genre. Some places call it just a horror sci-fi. Some places call it a horror comedy. Some places call it a monster comedy. Like, so I don't know.
Monster comedy seems that seems like they're intentionally not trying to call it a horror movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
but it's definitely a comedy, horror, and sci-fi.
It can be 3 things.
Yeah, it's 3 things. It's multifaceted. Mm-hmm. But it was directed by, I know I'm gonna kill this, so I apologize to this person, Ellery Elkayam. I'm going to go with that. He co-wrote it with Jesse Alexander. If you haven't seen Eight-Legged Freaks, or it's just been a minute, the little plot hook here is the residents of a rural mining town discover that an unfortunate chemical spill has caused hundreds of little spiders to mutate overnight to the size of SUVs. It's up to mining engineer Chris and Sheriff Sam to mobilize an eclectic group of townspeople into battle against the bloodthirsty 8-legged beasts.
Really? They say 8-legged beast in the thing?
That's what they say.
That's stupid. They say the name of the movie in the movie. Just put it in the...
I think it should just be Freaks, too, but...
Whatever.
Yeah. And of course, it does have David Arquette in it. He's playing Chris. And then we have Carrie Warrior. How would you pronounce Wuhrer? Wuhrer.
Wuhrer?
Wuhrer. It's got her in it. She's Sam. We have Scott Tara as Sam's son, Mike. We have a young Scarlett Johansson as Sam's daughter, Ashley. And then we have Dougie Doug as Harlan Griffith, who plays this, like, conspiracy theorist guy who, like, owns the local radio station. Everyone thinks he's crazy. Yeah. Those are kind of our main characters. Yeah. But there is a larger cast. We meet, like, the mayor and other people in the police department and just kind of, like, all the locals of this small little Arizona town. And it's very much, it's giving that, like, town that once was, like, a booming metropolis because of, like, mining, but that's all been shut down. So now it's, like, desolate and everybody's poor and, you know, people are trying to leave, basically, is sort of the backdrop of all of this.
Yeah, the thing with the movie is, like, the town residents all are kind of wanting to leave, or, like, some of them are wanting to leave, but like other ones don't want to leave because it's their home. And there's this whole thing about some company that's wanting to buy up all the land, but they won't do it unless they can get all the land.
Right.
And is the mayor in on this?
And the mayor is, like, pushing pretty heavily to try to get people to do that.
Yeah, and Chris's father, who we don't meet in the
he's
movie
already
at
dead
all,
at the start of the movie.
He's dead at the start of the movie. Chris comes back into town, and Chris is like, I'm not going to sell the mine. Yeah. So the mines are, like, a very important part of...
The mines basically are underneath the entire town, so there's all these different entry points to the mines that you could access from various points of the town.
The spiders start as just normal spiders.
Yes.
In this movie. There's
belong to this weird guy named Joshua. Yeah. Who has an exotic spider farm in Arizona. Yeah. Which is basically just, like, a dark room that he has bookshelves that are filled with,
like,
aquariums.
Terrariums and stuff on there. Yeah. And this little kid, Mike, is, like, I guess real into spiders. He's kind of a nerd. Got, like, I guess a relationship with Joshua because he's, like, really interested in spiders and everything. So, like,
and you also learn, like, his parents are divorced, so it seems like he's kind of like, oh, I don't have, like, a good male role model, so this is my buddy.
Yeah. And then at the top of this movie, there's, like, a dude who's, like, driving. It's, like, late at night, early morning, something, whatever. And he swerves to, like, not hit a rabbit that's on the road, and when he does that, he's, like, transporting toxic waste in, like, a barrel, and it falls off and goes into this water supply or something. Joshua is seen later, I guess that same day or something like that, like, harvesting crickets
for his spiders,
from the water for his spiders, and then he's been feeding these spiders these crickets, and the crickets are, you know, tainted with this radioactive toxic waste.
Right, whatever this weird material is.
And so we learn that when Mike shows up, that the spiders are even bigger than the last time he had seen them, which was, I guess, before the movie started rolling, whatever. Yeah. And Josh was like, yeah, they'll probably be even bigger by the next time you see them.
But they're still, like, basically normal spider size. They're just
They're just, they're bigger.
They're big for spiders, but they're still in the ballpark. They can fit in
terrariums and stuff. Like, they're not like,
but there's a big jump.
Yeah. The biggest one that is there is the orb weaver thing that they were talking about. The female
orb weaver.
Yeah, and that one is like unnaturally large, I think, even for what they have, which they don't...
that's like bigger than a tarantula.
Yeah, which they don't really like comment on.
No, they don't need to. It's the crickets.
Yeah. But anyway, Josh was like, I'm going to get rich off of this. And I'm like, how? But okay.
I guess everybody's going to come to the weird steroid spider farm.
Yeah, I don't know.
To see these freaks of nature.
Yeah, it's weird.
But yeah, anyway, so really quick, we start to get into the chaos because as like Mike goes to leave and go back and do his thing, and Josh realizes that one of the spiders has gotten out of its terrarium, and there's like a very brief sort of walking around trying to find it, and then it crawls up his back and bites him on the neck, and then he like starts knocking over all the terrariums, and then instantly there's like a billion spiders everywhere.
It wasn't even like, I don't even think it's from him like knocking. I mean, I guess that's what the implication is supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make any sense because he gets bit and he kind of like is just thrashing around. But when they do like the wide shot of it of him thrashing around, they're already on the ceiling and stuff as though they've been out this entire time. And I was like, this man.
Yeah. The most oblivious man.
But the funny thing about it is like later on in the movie, I actually think that it almost makes sense that the spiders were acting that way because they make a decision in this movie with the spiders.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for anybody who does have like legitimate serious arachnophobia and like you can't watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The decision they make for these spiders is to give them personalities as though they were like gremlins.
Yeah, they truly act like gremlins.
Yeah, they have like they make little noises.
Yep.
There's a scene where one like bites into a fake stuffed like deer. I guess it's not fake. It's a stuffed deer head, like a mounted deer head. It bites into it and then turns to the side and spits out like the stuffing.
Right.
There's a scene where somebody holds one up at gunpoint as it's about to like kill two people, and it looks to the side at them like, what?
Yeah.
And then it gets blasted.
Well, because they say like, hey, spider, and it like turns like like it can understand
like to
that.
register. Yeah.
They are often acting in very like
it's silly. Like they're
ways.
Towards the end of the movie that like everyone's congregating in the mall to like withstand the spider apocalypse or whatever, and like all of the spiders are working together. All of these different like breeds and species of spiders are like not killing each other, even though like food would be like the number one priority here. They've given up on that and they've decided we have to work together as a collective,
right, just to kill these people.
People. And like they're all rushing towards the mall, and there's one like on this like post or whatever that's like on like the sides of a gate. It's standing there and it's literally like waving them on like, let's go, troops.
Yes.
Like it's so weird.
I don't know why they decided to do that, but it really lends to the comedy because anytime I felt, because like I am very uncomfortable with bugs and critters. And honestly, I think that this movie and then there was a 90s movie called Arachnophobia. I think that these two movies are responsible for why I am the way that I am. But being someone who gets freaked out by them, it just immediately would undercut that tension because you would just hear this spider go, or some like goofy little
it's just like making weird noises
goblin.
And shit, and you're just like, spiders don't make noises.
They don't do that.
Like they're like growling and hissing and shit, and like making squeaky noises, and I'm like, there's spiders. What?
Yep, but they're talkative little buggers. Yeah, but it is funny because we go from having them be like big in terms of spiders, but still in the ballpark.
Yeah. To
like the size of a car.
Yeah.
Within a week.
Yeah. This movie also does like another thing that I kind of wish other movies that have time jumps in them would do. The radioactive chemical gets spilled in the water. Then Joshua finds the crickets, and then it says 1 week later, and then that's when we see Mike come to the shop. That whole scene plays out that we talked about, and then it says one more week later.
Yes.
And then that's when we meet David Arquette, who's coming into town on a bus. And I wish that it wouldn't make any sense because there's no other character that needs to be introduced. But like, I almost wish that there was like a greater timeline in here, and like,
yes,
it would just keep doing like, and then another 2 weeks.
Yes.
And then like other movies would also do that, because it's very funny to me to just like
I love
keep doing this,
keep adding to it.
But yeah, so in the span of 2 weeks, the spiders have like moved out of his like exotic spider ranch and then into the mines, and they've kind of taken that over. Chris is trying to go back into the mines, and there's a methane gas issue down there, so like you can't use like flame.
I think that's implied as to like why it may have closed down, but there's still kind of this whole thing where his dad swears, you know, before he died, that he found more gold down there.
Yeah.
Chris is kind of holding on to that. You know, that's partly why he doesn't want to sell the mine.
He believes his dad that like he actually did find the gold, and everyone else thinks he was just kind of a delusional weird old man.
Right. And it's partially because he really does believe him, but also you kind of get some exposition about him feeling like guilty for having left home, and like just kind of wanting to like do this one last thing for his dad. You know, this
movie starts to like play around with the spiders entering into the town and the population, but like everyone's unaware that the spiders are there at first. Right. So one of the characters we meet earlier on in the film is Pete, and he is like the deputy sheriff.
He's kind of the bumbling idiot.
Yeah, he's kind of the bumbling idiot. I love him.
He's one of the best characters.
So he's like wading around in the water where the toxic barrel is, and honestly, kind of like fuck Sam, the sheriff. For
like,
this,
he's got some like kitchen gloves on. That's not going to help.
And he's trying to like pull the barrel out of the water, and Mike sees them as they're like doing this, and he points out that like the barrel's in the water, and then Pete realizes he's like just standing in it, and then he gets out and he's like standing near the cop car, and he takes his hat off and he wipes the top of his head because I guess he's like sweaty, but he still has the glove on that's like all covered in the toxic waste. And he's like, oh no.
Yep.
And then like later we get this scene where he's at home, and I guess he's been doing like a home reno project, so he's just got like a reciprocating saw or whatever, and he's like just like cutting into drywall, and he's like in a robe.
He seems like he's going through a hard time.
Yeah, and his wife comes
having marital issues.
Yeah, and they have a cat, and the cat like sees something go like into this like patch in the drywall, and the cat chases it in there, and we see the tail end of it. We know it's a spider.
Yeah, but they don't know.
But they don't see that. The wife comes in and is all like, "Where's the cat? Oh, don't tell me you got in the drywall again." And this leads to this extremely comical and drawn out scene.
Looney Tunes.
Yeah, this Looney Tunes ridiculous bullshit where like Pete and his wife are going like back and forth. They're like, oh, now we have to get the cat food out to try to like get him, and he hates cat food.
Right.
And they're like, we'll just tell him it's tuna. And so they like are trying to get him to come out with his can of cat food. And then they hear the start of like a scuffle.
Yeah.
And then right after that, they keep seeing like paw prints or like the face of the cat or like the body of this spider imprint just getting slammed from the backside of the drywall into it, and it's popping out at them.
It's not busting through.
No.
It's just creating the impression.
Yeah.
Like one of those things from when we were kids where you'd like put your hand on it and it had all those little like
like the little
things.
pedal the peg things, the needle things, whatever. But it was like that. But it's like going up the wall and then into the ceiling.
All the way around. Like they're having some big fight, big chase scene.
Yeah, and then it culminates in like there's a light fixture in the ceiling, and then I guess the cat bites it or something. We don't see it, but which is like electrocutes the cat.
Yep.
We cut to like the next morning where he's called Sam.
And he's crying in his bathroom.
On the phone on the bathroom, and he's telling her, he's like, something killed our cat. It is really, I'm really, just sad about it.
And she's like, how's your wife holding up?
and he just goes, well, she left me.
It's so stupid.
It's so good. It's so funny. His priorities are so fucking funny.
I love it. And the whole movie is like that. It's just like one bit after another, and like every character has something stupid to say, and it's just too good. I mean, we haven't even really talked about him, but like through like in the backdrop of this throughout the whole movie is that local radio station owner who's like this big conspiracy theorist, and he's just every time you hear him, he's like, you know, that I've been come back and listen, as I'm giving you minute by minute updates of the next alien invasion, and like, you know, he's totally off his rocker and nobody listens to him, but it's done like it's just casually thrown in there.
Yeah, they just like cut to him just like yelling about something on the radio or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, eventually like the spiders start to like come out of the mines and like, you know, attacking other people. Like it's told to us that there are reports of like cats and dogs going missing, like a lot of them
small
over
animals
this
and
week.
stuff.
Ostriches, because there's one of the mayor's like get rich quick schemes is this
an
ostrich farm.
Yeah.
Like then the phone lines go down because there's these jumping spiders that are attacking some of these like dirt bike youths.
Some street toughs.
Yeah, some street tough. And like he gets chased through the desert or whatever, Brett or whatever his name is. And
that's Scarlett Johansson's little boyfriend.
Yeah, the relationship was so dumb.
It was bad.
Like, it
toxic.
Was very toxic, very bad.
It was so 2002.
Yeah. So like the spiders are becoming like people are starting to like learn about them. But like people are also getting eaten by them or taken by them.
Well, we see them get like cocooned a lot. Yeah. We're not seeing a whole lot of eating happening, but we're seeing them get cocooned and carried away.
Yeah. Eventually, this like culminates in David Arquette having a run-in at his house or his aunt's house or something. Yeah. Where her dog goes into a little hole and gets eaten, and then she's like, I'm coming for you. And then she goes in and she gets cocooned. And then he sees the hole after he comes home. And he
puts together what happened.
Yeah, so then he goes and runs and tells a 12-year-old, you were right the whole time.
Yeah, because the kid is like, you gotta believe me. The spiders from the exotic spider farm, they ate some radioactive waste, and now they're real big. Yeah. That's exactly how he delivered it.
Yeah, it's a line for line. Yeah. But, and, you know, true to, like, what he says, like, you're not gonna believe me because I'm a kid. Like, David Arquette's character doesn't believe him.
Totally accurate.
But then he finds, like, an even bigger piece of, like, leg segment, because that's what the kid was trying to convince him with, was a piece of leg. He finds it, he goes and runs and tells Mike, and then when this is happening, Ash, who is played by Scarlett Johansson, gets attacked in their house by one of these orb weaver spiders. And this is the scene we were talking about where, like...
Yeah, the mom she goes to, like, get her shotgun, and she comes back in, she's like, hey, spider! And then it turns to look at her like, what?
And just gets shot right in the face.
Yeah, but her and Chris, Sam and Chris kind of fight off this spider, and from that moment on, like, they know what's going on.
Yeah, but the rest of the town doesn't really know.
And that's kind of part of the tension until things really break bad, is that they're trying to, like, either get help from other people or to warn people, and everyone's like, oh, this is just some, like, weird prank, I guess. Like, you're just being weird. Yeah. And so...
But they end up... Well, part of the issue is like, they can't, like, contact anyone because all the phone lines are out. And so then they get the idea, well, we'll just go to the radio station guy's place and we'll just do it over the radio.
But he's this conspiracy theorist that no one believes anyway.
And so they go there and they start doing this. And this leads to another really funny scene where, like, this whole scene, they're, like, in this, like, aluminum, you know, streamlined trailer thing or whatever. Pete's loaded up all the guns from the police station in the police cruiser. And the kids and Peter in the car. Chris and Sam have gone into the trailer. So they're in there with the radio host. And Sam's, like, coming over the radio and being like, everyone needs to get to the mall so that we can, you know, like, hold out against them and, like, figure out what to do. There's giant spiders. Massive tarantula that's bigger than the trailer is comes up and starts attacking it and, like, flips it over and everything. And while this is happening, once the tarantula starts attacking, then we cut to different spots around town, like in a diner and, like, a barbershop or whatever, where, like, people are listening to the radio station. And I guess the channel's just left open, and all they can hear is like screaming from them in the trailer, being like, "Did you see that thing? Oh my god!" And like gunshots because Pete's like outside of the car shooting at the tarantula, and they're all just kind of like staring at it, like, what like, in the world?
Is this legit? Actually.
And then the spiders have like begun like sneaking into the town, and then this is when like the chaos really breaks out. They like launch a full scale like invasion.
Right. And no place is safe. Everybody's, there's chaos in the streets. People are in their car getting attacked. Like, it's crazy.
There was this kind of extended scene that takes place with the diner where there's like one guy who's in there, one of the patrons, and the spiders start attacking, and like everyone's kind of left. One of the waitress people gets attacked, and he kind of like lingers for a second, like watches her get like eaten a little bit, and then he goes outside. And then when he goes outside, everyone's like trying to run to their cars, but then there's like the trapdoor spiders that are like below the ground, and when people try to run by, they like pop out and grab him and pull him down. And he's seeing all this happen, and I'm just thinking like, this guy is just gonna sit here and watch all of this happen. And then he like finds a ladder and puts it over one of the trapdoors so he can get across, and he gets in his car. And it was just like this really weird extended like scene of this one guy who we did not see prior to this in the movie.
He's a survivor.
But but we're watching like his little movie now.
Yes. This harrowing 6.5 minutes of what he's doing.
Yeah. So then we make it all the way to the mall, and they're trying to like get people in. People are getting eaten taken while they're trying to get into the mall.
It's one of those tense things where like some people are already inside, but they're trying to keep the doors open as long as they can to let people in, but the spiders are also approaching. So it's like they literally have that point where the sheriff is like the only one that's still outside, and she has to like roll under the closing door because she was running out of time. So it's extremely chaotic. This is when all the spiders are coming in. They're getting egged on by that one spider on the post.
You can do it, guys!
Yes.
I'm telling you, if you do watch this movie, when it gets to that part in the movie, look towards like center right screen. You're gonna see, because they frame it where like you're looking into the gates at the mall. Just look at that post. You're gonna see him up there. He stands out, and he's literally like looking around and being like, "Let's go!" It's so funny.
During that scene in the parking lot, we get what is inarguably the funniest moment in the entire movie.
Yeah,
which is that we see this guy who he's like being approached and chased by spiders, and he kind of like stands his ground with his gun for a second, and then the spider just like smacks him and like completely overtakes him. But the spider is not even biting him.
I lost it.
The spider is like karate chopping him, and it's making the like hilarious the hilarious like special effects from like old martial arts movies.
So good.
It's
It's not biting him, it's doing nothing. It knocks him to the ground like with like 2 punches, and then you just hear it wailing on him. Like this guy personally like offended this spider, and he's like
they're on Jerry Springer or something. Like it was insane. The sound effect choice, and they don't do that throughout like the whole movie.
It's the
but they
one
randomly
time.
decide this one spider is gonna fucking beat a bitch.
It was so funny.
Oh man.
Yeah. And then they like follow that up with the scene we were talking about where she has to do like the roll underneath the door or whatever. It was really funny because she has a shotgun. She's standing outside shooting at them, and then she realizes she has to get inside and the door's almost closed. So she drops down to do the roll, and when they cut to show her doing the roll, she had the shotgun. She does the roll, not holding the shotgun.
No shotgun.
And you and I were both like, so did she just leave the gun outside? And then it immediately shows her standing back up and she's holding the shotgun. So I'm just like, what did she do with it? Where did it come from?
Stuck it up her ass, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know what happened there.
Down the pant leg.
Yeah, like it's just so wild. Then there's like this montage scene of everybody, like Mike like tells them all, hey, we have to be quiet.
Yeah.
But like also we need to like arm ourselves because we're gonna have to hold out against this horde of spiders, kind of a thing. And they resolve to use the mayor's cell phone to go up to the roof and try to dial to get
call for backup.
The backup, the military, something, whatever, to get them to come help them. David Arquette and Dougie Doug go up there to do this, and the rest of the civilians kind of arm themselves from this like it's basically a dead mall. It was another one of the mayor's get-rich-quick schemes where, like, he built this big mall, but then...
It's, like, still open, but there's all these signs everywhere that's, like, everything must go sale and stuff.
Yeah, because I guess his plan was he was going to open this mall because there was going to be, like, an interstate or highway that came through
but
here.
It never came through.
But it never happened, so... whatever. But anyway, so they're like grabbing chainsaws and pitchforks and, you know, hockey pads.
They basically send down like all the children, anyone who's injured or can't fight. They're going down into a basement area, and then everybody who can wield a weapon is just arming themselves with whatever the hell they can find in this store.
But eventually the spiders break in,
of course,
you know, chaos ensues. Pete gets separated from the group and goes on his heroic mission. It was fantastic. That was so amazing. So good. David Arquette and Dougie Doug are up on the roof. They try to make the call out. David Arquette manages to make the call, but the 911 line he calls, he explains that they're being attacked by giant spiders and they need help. And the person on the line's like, I'm going to hang up on you now because this isn't a prank line.
Yeah, she's like, you reached emergency services, not dial a joke. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, lady.
She's
like
been sitting on that one. She's been waiting for one prankster.
She's got a bunch of crank calls that night and she's pissed. But we kind of have that feeling of like, okay, we made the call, but we can't really hold out hope that anyone's going to come because she didn't believe us. Yeah.
A lot of, like, half the people get killed in, like, the spider assault on
the mall.
And then the rest of them get down in the basement.
Yep.
And then we go on this whole thing where they're trying to go through the mines.
Yeah, and David Arquette has to, like, bail off of the roof because of the spiders are climbing up the side of the building. So he, like, goes into, like, the duct system in the mall and is, like, working his way down in the ducts.
He uses his, like, coat or whatever to zip line down, like, a cable. Yeah. And when he does this, one of the spiders that was climbing up the thing also zip lines using its leg. And when it does it, again, they gave the spider a sound effect where you hear it just going, wee, behind him. Until he makes it into the vent and the spider, like, hits the side of the vent thing so it doesn't make it in.
Stupid.
It's so incredibly dumb.
Oh, man.
And then Dougie Doug jumps off the roof because he's like, I'm afraid of heights, but also I'm afraid of spiders, and he wants to draw them away.
He's fine.
Yeah, I can handle this. So
he lands in some bushes and is totally
He lands in bushes right in front of Pete as Pete comes out of the mall. And then they see a bunch of spiders and they're like, we're going to run away now.
Yeah.
So anyway, they all make it through the mine eventually. And there's a big explosion that ends up happening in the mine because they use a taser to not even restart a generator, like jump it.
It's like they know that there's that gas issue down there. There's no power, but Chris knows that there's a generator, but they don't have any fuel because it's been closed down for a long time. So they just like have the Scarlett Johansson has this idea of like, use my taser to start the generator. Yeah. Which like, I don't think like that's a thing.
Everyone outside like that makes it through the mine is like looking around this like shack where the generator is and they're like, we got to find fuel. And then Mike is like, there's none left. Then Scarlett Johansson's like, what about this? And holds up a stun gun. Yeah. And I looked at you and I was like, that won't work. Yeah. It straight up cannot work.
I don't understand that.
So they take it, and the other weird part about it is there's no way they could have communicated this with David Arquette's character.
No.
So he stayed behind in the mine to rescue his aunt Gladys, who got earlier, but she wasn't dead yet.
Yeah.
Or he didn't know if she was dead or not.
But he wanted to try to find her.
And he finds her down there. She hadn't been, drained yet. So he gets her out of the cocoon. They get on this dirt bike because Brett, earlier when he escaped the jumping spiders, he went into the mine and he'd been down there for basically the whole movie.
Yeah, he had a whole side quest.
Whatever.
On his own. Yeah.
He just keeps like running into spiders down there and then going a different way.
Yep, and then there's just other spiders.
And then there's other spiders, but he never actually gets eaten down there. He's down there, but like as they're leaving, Gladys is like a chain smoker basically. She's like always smoking, and she's like trying to light a match down there, but she can't do it, which they set up way earlier in the movie that she struggles lighting matches. And so he's like, no, don't do that. You'll set off the gas. And then the big mama spider shows up, and David Arquette's going to shoot it with like a 9mm, which would probably not do anything. But then he's like, I can't do it because it'll set off the gas.
Yeah.
And so they get on the dirt bike, they go, and then he stops partway through it and takes the matches and then just like shoves them up into a light fixture that I guess doesn't have a light bulb, with the idea that they're going to restart the generator, and when the electrical surge hits that, it'll spark the matches, therefore blowing everything up.
Right.
And like that part would work because
Sure.
if any spark happens, it would do that.
Sure.
But the idea that they can get enough of a charge off of this stun gun
to get it all the way into the bowels of the mine.
Yeah, like it's gonna power it at all.
It's also like they kind of discussed this, but they were playing so fast and loose because David Arquette is basically just telling Sam, like, just start the generator as soon as you possibly can. And she does. She doesn't even have a moment of hesitation of like, has it been enough time to let him get out safely? But it's like, of course, it's when, you know, he's already with Aunt Gladys on the bike and is close to the exit that they managed to do it.
The cool scene where he's like coming out on the bike
and
it's
the flame, blowing up around
and everyone
him.
Kind of thinks he gets engulfed at the last second when he comes out, which is really funny because Gladys is on the back of that bike, so she fully got engulfed in flame, but she's also fine somehow.
She just got a little singed. It's okay.
So all the spiders get blown up, and then right at the end of this is like a bunch of sirens or whatever come from like over the hills.
Yeah.
And we see a bunch of like ambulances and fire trucks and police cars, and Dougie Doug and Pete get out, and
they went and got the cavalry.
And one of the cops gets out and he was like, "Yeah, we heard it on the radio station. We never miss an episode." I was like, what?
The fucking world building of this movie. Nothing just is.
No.
Like, they always had to tell you why.
It's so good. So they show up and like they're like, where are the aliens? And like, they're not aliens, it's giant spiders that were radioactive. Wait, whatever. They make a Spider-Man joke at some point in the mall.
Yeah.
Like Pete says, it's like a Spider-Man. And then he does the, wait a minute, kind of a look. It's really
stupid.
Anyway, let's talk about like our scariest moment if you had one, and like ratings.
Yeah, okay. Do you have a scariest moment?
For me, it's not anything that has to do with the big spiders. Big spiders are scary, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's actually more terrifying for me at the beginning of the movie when Joshua is showing Mike around his bachelor pad. Mm-hmm. And we see that this tarantula has gotten out of its enclosure somehow already.
Right.
And we keep seeing it like in the background, just like waiting. And then there's a scene where like Joshua's back is like to where the tarantula is and it crawls up on him and it's just hanging out. Mm-hmm. This is how he gets bit. I think that's actually more terrifying than like anything else in the movie.
Yeah.
Because a spider that big, and that just looked like a normal sized tarantula,
right.
Maybe a little larger than normal. A spider that large on me, I would die.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Like, to me, it was much scarier when after he gets bitten and all the cages break and they're all over the ceiling and everywhere. I was everywhere. Like, that's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, that would be horrifying.
And I literally used to have, like, all of this is coming back together for me. This movie scarred me as a child because in 2002 I would have been 8 years old. And I remember having a recurring nightmare as a kid where the walls and ceiling of my bedroom were covered with spiders, but they were like almost like glow in the dark. Like, it wasn't like normal. They were like all like weird, like neon colors. But I used to have that recurring nightmare and it would freak me out so bad. And I'm like, I think it was this. It was this.
Yeah. This is your Mars Attacks.
Yes.
For me.
Yes. Yeah. This is my scariest thing. I mean, the big spider stuff is scary too, but I think because when the spiders are bigger, it automatically feels less realistic. Yeah. Not just because of the CGI, but also because
we literally don't have spiders that large, you know?
Right. And so you know that it's something fantastical. Yeah. So that degree of separation kind of makes it less scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think if you have arachnophobia,
it would be freaky.
Everything about this movie is horrifying, right? Like, so in that vein, there's not a moment of peace in this movie.
Right. Except for when you get to look into David Arquette's eyes.
Dreamy eyes. Yeah. One other thing I want to say, this is also scary about the movie, a lot of pet deaths, like animal deaths. I was gonna
say, if no animal was safe in this fucking movie.
Joshua has a parrot at the beginning. That parrot gets got right at the top.
Killed big time.
Yep.
The cat, Pete's cat.
Yep, Pete's cat.
Gladys's dog, who also doesn't make it out because we don't see that dog later.
We actually know the dog gets killed, I think, because the collar is not on it.
Oh, you're right.
We don't
you're right.
hear any other noise from the dog.
A bunch of ostriches get killed.
Yeah, several ostriches.
Yeah, and then there's like implied off-screen murder of pets. And it's just like literally don't get attached to any animal that's in this fucking movie because it's going to die in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's really funny because like a lot of other horror movies, they throw around like there's a dog in the movie,
right?
And you're like, oh, I hope the dog makes it through. And like with The Conjuring, right? Like there's a dog in that one, and the dog definitely beefs it in that one. Big time beefs it.
Yeah.
Is those the dog's fault?
Stupid dog.
Stupid idiot dog. No. But like, and then other ones they'll put an animal in it, and then like you'll think it got, and then at the last minute, Fido comes like running through the window with the gun so that they can shoot the demon or something. This movie is just like, if you see a pet on screen, it will die.
Yep.
They're not safe. To kind of rate the movie, I rated it like a 4 in scares.
I gave it a 5.5, but that's also because bug stuff works on me.
I mean, bug stuff is scary, but again, for me specifically, at the beginning of the movie, the spiders that are not CGI, when they're like normal size, are more scary than even the normal size, quote unquote, ones that are CGI. And then once they become real big, it loses the effect on me. Especially
with all of the silly, like, personalization, that they're personification that they're doing.
A spider ziplining and going, wee!
Yeah.
Is just not scary. It's not scary. So, it's basically like a B horror movie almost. So like the performances are like what you might expect.
Pretty bad,
out of
honestly. Except for David Arquette.
Yeah, David Arquette is great. No,
he should have gotten the Academy Award for this movie.
Pete was great.
Everything else was just kind of okay.
Dougie Doug was great.
Yeah. Yep.
It's hammed up a little bit.
Yeah, it's all cheesy. Very cheesy.
There's a lot of jokes, which
and it feels
for the most
intentional.
Part, actually land.
The jokes are pretty funny for the most part.
It holds up. Visuals, the CGI is not great on the spiders. You can tell every time they're CGI spiders, and that's all of them. So
I gave it a 5 in visuals.
Me too.
And that was kind of despite the CGI, because I felt like they had other visually cool things of like set design and like I really liked like the mine setup and the spider webs and all of that stuff. Like I thought they had cool scenery and visuals, but the CGI is pretty rough.
So for me the 5 is just like it wasn't great. I didn't mind it either. Like it's
not like so offensively bad.
It's a movie of its time.
Yeah, so where you can like see like the white outline around it or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And for Vision, I said 6.5.
I gave it a 5.
It's they wanted to make a movie of a big spider killing people,
and they did
that. They did that. You can't argue that. But inarguably, this movie is entertaining as hell. Yeah,
far and away, that was my highest.
This
score
one knocks
for
it out of the park. It's an 8.5 for me.
I gave it an 8 for entertainment. Yeah. I think it is highly entertaining.
Yeah.
It's funny the whole time. It's very fast paced because it's a pretty short movie. It's like
an hour 40.
Yeah,
I think,
they like keep it going. There's not a whole lot of fluff.
I got to tell you, I really appreciate the beginning of this movie is how the spiders get irradiated and start growing, and then we literally cut 2 weeks ahead so that they're big now. We don't have this like learning thing about it.
Nope, it's just here's what happened, here's what's gonna happen.
Spider big now. We deal with that. Yeah. So it's very good.
Yeah. My overall score was a bit lower than yours, but our combined average was a 5.7.
Yeah.
Which again, it's a horror comedy, it's a B movie.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things where that score may sound kind of low, which might suggest that it's a bad movie. But it's still entertaining and it's still worth a watch as kind of a cult classic,
It's not, I will say this, if you're like squeamish about blood, it's not bloody.
Not super bloody, no. Honestly, we get more like green goo from the spiders than we do blood from people.
Yeah. So if you're squeamish about that,
if you're really afraid of green goo.
Yeah.
Another reason to sit this one out.
I hope you didn't watch Nickelodeon in the 90s then, because that was
everywhere.
But that's really all I have to say about it. It's a fun movie. If you just want like a lighthearted horror comedy that's definitely more of a comedy than it is anything,
more of a comedy,
and you don't mind spiders, definitely put this on. It's a really easy watch.
It's super funny, fast paced, really enjoyable overall.
It does what it says on the tin, and it's great. We want to get into what we're going to be talking about next episode.
Yes.
And so next time we're going to be watching Hell House LLC, because we are officially swinging like hard into spooky time.
The movies we have upcoming, which will remain a surprise for now, but they're all very like autumn Halloween vibes. So we're going to have a fun little, autumn season on the show.
Yeah.
But starting with Hell House LLC.
Yeah, because I'm manifesting Halloween.
Yes.
Energy.
It's here now, even though it's not.
Yeah, it's here in my heart.
Yeah. Hell House LLC, if you haven't seen it, it's found footage horror movie, kind of supernatural, kind of haunted house-ish. So I think it's pretty good, pretty scary. It's been a while since I've watched it, so we'll see.
I don't know that I've ever seen it.
I don't know that you have. It also has some sequels, which vary in quality, but I know it's usually up on like a bunch of places. It's on like Shudder and Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's also a movie that I have seen the title thrown around a lot. Like if you like look online for like what are good autumn like movies,
I think it's got a good fan base for it.
It gets thrown around a lot. Yeah. So I think I'm very excited to watch that one. So
yeah.
Other than that, we're still chugging along for the live episode that we're going to be doing in October, towards the end of October.
Yep.
October 30th.
Should be October 30th at 7:00 at Authentic Brewing Company.
Yeah, it's here in Athens. So if you can come out, we'd love to see you. We're going to be watching a really fun movie.
Yep, we're doing kind of a surprise screening of a horror movie.
Yeah, we can let you know if you reach out to us. Or if you want more details about that, where can they reach us?
If you want to hear more about that or just want to send us any other feedback or suggestions, you can email us. It's firstfrightpod@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us on social media. We are at firstfrightpod on Instagram and X. We have a Facebook page, which is just Love at First Fright. So feel free to reach out to us in any of those ways. We are always open to suggestions.
Yeah.
So feel free to send them our way.
Yeah, we sat down recently and just started filling out the like end of the year quote unquote bracket.
But nothing is set in stone. If someone's got a good one,
somebody throw something out that we missed that I haven't put on there yet, I'm more than happy to slot that in somewhere. So, if you got suggestions, you want to hear us talk about it. If you just want to hear us or know that we watched a movie that you really like, or one that you really hate.
You hate, and we'll validate you.
Yeah. Or we'll disagree with you.
Yeah.
Because
and
maybe
we'll invalidate you.
Yeah.
We won't take a neutral stance.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
Yep. No middle sliders here on this show. We love it or we hate it.
Yes, exactly.
Coming off of a movie we just rated.
So middle of the road.
Basically as middle of the road as we can get
it. But anyway.
Yeah, anyway.
We appreciate y'all listening. Feel free to reach out and make sure you join us next time for Hell House LLC.
Yeah. And as always, scare well. See you next time.
Bye.
You 8-legged freaks.
You 8-legged freaks.